Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the No Cover TV podcast. Look who's in the house right next to me. John Gilheaney is in the house all the way from Ireland. We're jumping the pond again. We are over there in Ireland today. We're going to have a great show with John today, and we might get John to perform a couple songs. Don't know. You never know what's going to happen on the podcast, No Cover TV. I want to thank each and one of you out there for checking out the No Cover TV podcast. All the shows that are on Spotify that are audio to all the visual shows like these right now, they're on YouTube. And we're live on Facebook right now and YouTube. So if you got comments, post them. We'll post them up there for John to see. And we will make our remarks if we choose to. It's his show, so whatever John wants to do, definitely. So anyways, people, you know what I got to say, and I got to say a lot. I got to catch my breath. First, I got to thank a few people out there. I want to thank Sandra from De La Parra Entertainment. I want to thank Zeus and Zeus Management, Legion Entertainment, Round the Clock PR, SBM Global Media, and Kitebo Entertainment for sending me the great artists to come on the show, get their story and their music out there around the world like I've been doing since 97, from TV, radio, to now podcast. You can't get rid of me, people. Come on, you know that. It's just I'm not going anywhere. So anyways, people, what am I going to say next? Catch my breath. 3 favorite words. What are they? Support, support, support. Support these artists. Go to their shows, pay a cover charge if there is one. Then go right to that swag table. Get yourself a CD, an album, a T-shirt, a hoodie, a key, bumper sticker. It just goes on the list. Just buy it all, okay? And then get out to that stage, enjoy the show, and see if you can stay afterwards and meet these wonderful artists and get an autograph because they're all going straight to the top. They are. It's wonderful. And remember, these artists are doing what they're doing to put a big smile on your face. And your big smile kicks right back to them and puts a big grin and smile on the artist's face. It's a great thing. Music makes the world go around, doesn't it, John?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into our interview. John Gilheaney is in the house. How you doing, my friend? Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Well, I'm very good. And let me say, firstly, it's a genuine privilege and honor to be on your show on your 60th birthday. So happy birthday. And I'll say to anybody watching, if you share the love below, wish Big Al a happy birthday. So it's great stuff. So, good vibes here, good Friday feeling, and really happy to be on your podcast.
Well, I appreciate it. I've been checking out the music, love what you're doing and everything you're about. So we're going to go all over the place, my friend. Now, I'm not sure if you've ever watched the interviews at all, but I'm going to get to know you really good, all right?
I know your mantra, support, support, support.
That's
and it's
right.
great that you are supporting like artists all over the world who are independent or trying to get started, more coverage. So do appreciate it. Yeah.
Well, good. I mean, I did my stint from 85 to 97. I know how hard the business is, so it's time to help the others to get their music out. Most definitely.
Yeah.
Like there's John. So, John, what I want to do in the beginning, I don't want to talk about your music right yet. I just want to climb in your head somewhere, and I want to find out about you. Can I do that?
Well, you could go into my head at your own risk. I hope you've got insurance.
I think I paid up it this month. All right, let's go in there and see what we can scrounge around. Let's get into John's head. All right, John. Oh, we're going way back in time here. Oh, now we all start out as musicians and artists, usually at an early age. So I'm going to take you back to about 8 to 10 years old, when you're listening to what mom and dad are playing on the phonograph or 8 tracks or whatever, and if you have siblings, what they might be listening to, and you're starting to hone in your skills of what you're liking, what they're playing. What are you liking?
Well, when I was growing up, I was really influenced by my mum and dad's record collection. We had an old stereogram or radiogram, which is a beautiful thing of wooden furniture, 2 speakers either end, a turntable sort of hidden when you lifted it up. And apparently when I was about 3 years old, I used to stand enchanted in front of the stereogram as Jim Reeves' music played on the turntable.
There you go, Jim Reeves.
So my dad was a big fan of Jim Reeves. My mum loved him too. In fact, they went to see him in a concert in London, in I think Camden, in the early 60s. And Jim Reeves was a perfectionist. And he didn't like the sound of the piano. So he didn't perform that night, and there was an absolute riot. So literally like a riot, which is ironic for Gentleman Jim. But I was influenced by American country music, Jim Reeves, Johnny Cash, Marty Robbins, Don Williams. And then Irish music, there was a great show band called Big Tom and the Mainliners, and an Irish folk singer, Mary O'Hara. And they were all in my mum and dad's record collection, which I used to listen to. and sort of loved more and more as I got older. And then when I was in about 8 years old, that was like 77. It was a great era for pop music.
I
And I loved,
remember.
like ABBA, T-Rex,
Yeah.
Mark Bolan, the great glam rocker. And there was a band that I really loved who were like a show band, and they're still going strong. And they used to dress in old rock and roll teddy boy outfits. And they were like a great show band, but they used to write their songs, great singers and instrumentalists, and they were called Shawaddy Waddy. And they were like an American version, like a British version of Shanana, the American
Okay, right.
doing that sort of doo-wop.
Right.
So, like at an early age, all of those influences, I think, can be found in the stuff I'm doing now. So it's like maybe I haven't moved on since I was 8 years old.
Because I'm hearing a lot of influences in your music, and I'm going to touch on that as we go on here. But okay, so 8, 10 years old now. Did you get it in your head? This is something I might like to do at that age. Did you join choir in church or school or anything like
Well, I was brought up in Wales, the land of song, and Wales is very musical place.
that?
It's known for the choirs. The speaking voices of Welsh people have got a lovely lilt to them, and of course, I think Wales has got the best singer in the world in Tom Jones because of his
Ah,
versatility, and yeah, at school we had choirs and we had what was called Eisteddfod, which was like a festival of music and poetry. Um, and I took part, I did acting, but what I was looking to do when I was growing up, I wanted to be a journalist because I was very, very shy and
oh,
I was very curious about people. And I eventually became a journalist when I was 30 and like hearing people's stories. People tell me all kinds of things. But in the
yes, they do.
background, there was like a love of music. Um, I learned to play guitar when I was about 18, started writing songs when I was 30. And ever since I was 30, music has been like a consolation,
Uh-huh.
inspiration, like in the background, through my
Sure.
song. But it wasn't until about 5 years ago that I started to write decent songs, which I could share.
Jesus Christ. Right, I understand that, definitely. So, okay, you go through high school and you do the choir stuff, and of course, 18 hits and life begins. So, you got to get a job or go to college or whatever happens. Now, during that period when you were a journalist, did you put the music aside or were you able to continue hitting on that a little bit?
Oh no, I was doing it in private, like as a refuge. And if I went to work and I was say tired or the day seemed daunting, if I put a cassette of like the songs I was working on, it would give me a lift. And like some people are into gardening or
Right.
they look after horses or golf, and my passion was sort of music. And
Okay.
I was kind of a late starter in a lot of things. I didn't go to university till I was 25.
Oh, okay.
I worked on the buildings and construction for the family business, and I didn't get into the music really until I was about 49 years of age. I made my first recording. And what I say to people is, if you follow your passion, you never know where it will take you. Because when I
Yeah.
made my first recording, it was in one of the most prestigious recording studios, certainly in Ireland, arguably the world. And I'm not exaggerating. It's called Windmill Lane. And U2 have recorded there, Springsteen, Ed Sheeran, Kate Bush. And
Wow.
as a hobbyist sort of writer as I was then, I'm beginning to develop now. For me to find myself via my fantastic producer, Larry, who's in Dublin Studio Hub, to find myself in that studio, and it didn't cost the earth either. Quite happy to talk about how much it costs and stuff.
Right.
Was quite incredible. It was very daunting, but I do encourage people, whatever your passion is, keep following it, keep developing it, because it doesn't matter what age you are, just do it, and you never know where you'll end up. And that to me was an adventure in itself.
Well, that's really cool. I like that. Now, this doesn't have to do anything with music, I don't think. But I'm curious. Journalism. What kind of interviewing were you doing?
My first job was at a national newspaper in Wales, which was Wales on Sunday.
Okay.
And I used to interview pop stars, politicians, all sorts of people, models. I interviewed Simon Cowell. just as he sort of made it big. It took me 6 months to get hold of him, and he was fantastic. He was just as
Cool.
he is on the telly, and at the end of the interview, I said, "There's never been a boy band from Wales that's made it. There's been from Ireland, England, Scotland." He said, "Find the boys and get in touch." He was sort of very curt, but very charming with it. So I interviewed like the Stereophonics. I got an interview with Pavarotti once. I didn't interview him in person, but I got it through his PR, and she went through the questions with him. It was before a big Wales versus Italy football match. I thought, who's big? Who's Italian? he ticked all the boxes, and we got him, and he was on the front page. And then after that, I interviewed. I like doing celebrity sort of interviews.
Sure,
but
all right, cool.
I tell you a fellow I interviewed who was incredibly funny, Harry Shearer. The US comedian. He does the voices in The Simpsons.
Yes.
And he was in the film Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
He played Derek Stubbins, I think. And
Derek. Derek.
His wife was from Wales, so that was the link. But then I worked at various charities, interviewing people with mental health problems and helping them put their voice out there, so it could help form policy in Wales, young people. And then I worked in construction again, and now I'm in Ireland doing the music full on for the time being. I might get some part-time work to fund it as well, but the next step is to get out there and do some gigs,
All right. Well, cool. All right. Well, let's jump where we're at today, pretty much, and the music. Now, I've been listening, and I'm digging this. I'm liking it. Now, when you check out John's music here, you go, oh, hey, this sounds familiar, kind of, because, to me, you got contemporary folk going on, a little bluegrass in there, but most of all, and you know it in your heart, you're a crony. Yeah, you're a croner. Oh, yeah.
Oh, crooner. Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're up there with Frank. You're up there with Dean and Sammy. I mean, this guy, John, is amazing here. I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I do love the crooners. I mean, I've got a song, actually. One of my favorite singers is Jim Reeves.
Oh, yes.
And as I mentioned earlier, on a Friday night, sometimes if I have a bottle of wine, I start off as the wine starts with rock and roll and very upbeat music. And then as the bottle empties, I end the night with Jim, the mellow sort of sound. So I'll get my guitar. I've got a song I wrote about Jim Reeves. It's sort of a tipsy sort of sing-along.
All right. Yeah, John's going to play a song for us, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, yes.
And I'll just explain the context. This hasn't been released. I might record it with my great producer, Larry. But in June 1963, Jim Reeves toured Ireland, and Welcome to My World was #1. And Kennedy also toured Ireland. So it was quite a momentous month, JFK. And I kind of imagine what would it have been like. Now, Jim Reeves' tour, as I mentioned earlier, there was a lot of tension because sometimes you'd be double booked and you had to travel a long way. There were cancelled gigs.
Yeah.
But there were gigs as well that went very well. So I've given a balanced account, and this reflects my love. So I'll give you this is called June 63. It's a tipsy kind of sing-along. So.
All right, here's John.
I'm enjoying a reverie to June 1963. Kennedy's grace and style. Jim Reeves toured the Emerald Isle. Ba-ba-ba-da-da-ba. Ba-ba-ba-da-da-ba. The tour had its highs and lows. That's just the way it goes. The folk have fond memories of June 1963. Ba-ba-ba-da-da-ba. Ba-ba-ba-da-da-ba. I like that Bonnie June, Kilkenny's Mayfair Ballroom, with 1,700 fans welcome the Texas man. Ba 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 da da ba. Ba 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 da da ba. Return. Jim did vow, but cruel fate would not allow. Jim's voice warm, warm as sunshine. Great songs last for all time. Alone on a Friday night, I'm soothed by velvet delight. Wine ballads, harmonies, let's drink to the great Jim Reeves. Da 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 da. So,
Oh, yeah. Bravo, John. Thank you so much, my friend. I know they enjoyed that out there. That's great. We'll try to get another one at the end of the show out of it. We'll see what we can do. That's great. I like that. I'm sure Jim Reeves appreciates that song very much.
oh well, the spirit world, that's for you, Jim.
That's for you,
Typically sort of
Jimmy.
sing along.
Exactly. Okay, like the music is great and everything. And are you putting out mostly singles? Or are you putting out singles and then throwing out an EP and then back to singles? What are we doing here?
Well, I started putting out music in 2019, and
Okay.
I've put out about 12 singles since then.
Okay.
I would have put out more, but COVID got in the way, and then I was ill for a while. I had cancer, and I had to take a year off work, and that was quite a long recovery, you know. And um, that actually has spurred me to do more music because when you're facing a possible diagnosis of cancer, because I thought something was happening, you know, that it could be serious. I thought, what haven't I done more of that I should have in my life? So I thought, well, music, I think I've got some to express.
Yeah.
So, so that's sort of slowed down progress. But what I'm doing is I'm going to put out 4 or 5 singles this year, and then put them all together. The ones I've recorded since 2019, put them on an album, and go out and promote it and do gigs. That'll be daunting for me because as as I say, I'm a writer, and I have done a few gigs. But when I do them, as I sort of did there, I felt stiff, out of breath. You know, I need a bit of juice before maybe or something. But yeah, so it's a challenge. It's good to test yourself as well. You know.
It is most definitely. Before we get any farther, John, please tell everybody out in podcast land how they can find your music, where it's at, and everything about you.
If you go to johngilheaney.com, you'll find my website, and from there, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Yeah, say hello, and
Definitely. Check this out. You're going to love John. This is
yeah.
good. Oh, now, I checked out some of your videos there. Excellent, my friend. Who's producing and filming this?
Well, the producer is a fella called Larry Hogan who produces the music, and Larry has got his own studio now, and he works with a college in Dublin, and he encourages young talent. Um, I mean, Larry can take a song of mine, an acoustic version of it, and transform it and lift it up a really number of notches. You know, there's a song I did. Called I Dodged a Bullet There, which is very tongue in cheek. And it was a bit sort of folky and slow and witty. And Larry made it into sort of a dance track and all sorts of country elements that he put on it. And just the story I tell about Larry, he he once got a band together for Bono of U2
Oh,
because when
really?
he was at the studio Windmill Lane, Bono was looking for a house band because one of his friends was getting married. So
Okay.
Larry was tasked with finding the house band. And Larry's one of these beautiful people who can pick up any instrument. He does it in the studio and he can get a tune. He goes straight to it. So Larry was the guitarist that night and Bono was leading the band.
Oh,
So my producer he's got good connections. So
all
if
right.
anybody, and by the way, if anybody is like me who loves music, might be a bit rough and ready around the edges with their songs or their performing, if they want Larry's details, get in touch and I'll forward. Now, as for the videos, there was a guy in Wales who did my first few called Owain, and he did a fantastic job.
Oh yeah, I agree.
And, he did. I dodged a bullet there. Then there's Hot Country, which is the longest running country show in Europe. It's on TV, and there's a fella called Hugh O'Brien, and he's done some of the videos, and he's a supporter of my music. And last but by no means least is Steve and Dan Blow of SBM Global Media, who sort of
Yeah, you got it,
uh,
guys.
they distribute the music. And I think I was the happiest man in Ireland last October when I did a video with young Dan, Steve's son, and it was for my latest song called "The Photos on the Wall."
Huh.
And we needed good weather, and I got up and the sun was shining, and we filmed some historic places in Faena, in Leitrim, where I am now at my dad's sort of county. And Dan did an epic job. The first shot is like of drone footage coming away from this abbey, which was built in I think it might be the 15th century, something like that. So I don't know if you've ever seen the Guinness adverts, the epic Guinness adverts.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The ambition of mine is to do videos which are like on that sort of scale. That's a big ambition, right? But you've got a dream,
Well,
Um,
definitely dream because the videos, they were large and powerful. It brings you back to
oh yeah,
like the movie Sound of Music with the powerful scenery and stuff that
oh
was
yeah.
brought in through the cameras. That was what I was feeling watching your videos.
Oh
Definitely.
yeah, well, I'm very pleased to hear that. I mean, it's a team effort. I mean, Dan, um, he sort of did the fantastic footage, the drone
Oh,
footage, and
oh yeah.
my dad helped with the locations, and then he also helped with research for the photographs. So the photographs of Old Island mixed with the landscape as it is today and the music, and Larry, the producer, giving the song like this bluegrass sort of feel, so it's all teamwork, and
Yes,
I'm
it
very
is.
happy that we've got a good team together, and we all sort of elevate each other, or they certainly elevate me.
Definitely, it's good to have a great team behind you. Definitely, John. Now, are you out performing much at all?
Well, no, I have performed in Wales. I did some sort of acoustic gigs, and I would surprise people with some of the choices of my, just playing the acoustic. Like I used to cover like a Virgin by Madonna, which people wouldn't do, but it actually sounds good on an acoustic guitar. But what I've done, I bought a PA system last summer,
Okay.
and I'm currently building up a set of songs for about 2.5 hours worth of music, including my own, country classics, rock and roll, some modern stuff. And I should be ready by the end of the month. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out, get a business card, go to the pubs, the bars, the festivals, try and get into the Irish country music scene if they'll have me, and play my songs and see how it goes.
I don't see you're going to have any problem at all getting into any venues at all, John. Now, what were the times you have performed? Were they more for smaller audiences, or were you on a big stage?
No, in the local pub, a few times, like open mics, and
Sure.
I'm always sort of blown away by the talent that's around me.
Yeah.
There was a guy in Wales in Lantriston called Luke Elford, and he just effortless. He just pick up the guitar. Some people have got that gift where they can,
Oh, yeah.
if you name a tune, they can just sort of play it. Where I'm not that fluent. I did a festival at a sort of like for a friend at sort of in a sort of big housing estate, and
Okay.
I did Ghost Riders in the Sky and all of those songs, Johnny Cash. But I'm really a novice, so I'm going to become more rounded now by instead of working on my own songs exclusively, learning other people's, and I'm learning a lot by um, listening to old Irish folk songs, and I think
Oh,
it'll
definitely.
improve my songwriting.
I feel things are going to go a little faster than you probably expect. When it does, are you willing to step outside of Ireland, do some little bit of touring?
Oh yeah, Oh yeah, yeah. I'd love to be able to do a show where it had the U.S. country classic singers like Jim Reeves, Don Williams, Marty Robbins,
Definitely.
and then do like Rick Nelson, and then do the Irish folk songs. Say if I could do a set of 2 hours where I know them off by heart, and I've always known these songs, but learning them it takes an effort. You have to really go into them and commit them to memory, and I'm doing that now. And but I am picking up a lot of tips when I do it. You know, like I play McCartney, Paul McCartney, I'm big on at the moment, and playing Hey Jude and his songs. I'm just knocked out by the chord changes. You think, my
You're right.
so
I made I made the mistake when I was a kid to listen to the White Album, and it messed me up for life. I'm not right.
well, well, I mean, just out of curiosity, well, what sort of when you were sort of 8 years old then? What kind of music were you listening to?
I was rock and roll all the way, my friend.
Oh, right, yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
Early would be, Seeger and T Rex and stuff like
Oh,
that. But then, of course, the '80s hit, and that was my era. So, the heavy metal, I've hung out with some of the bigger acts and stuff like that. And one of my big, acts, Ted Nugent. I admire him. Hung out with Ted and stuff. And you mentioned earlier playing music in the wine bottle, and the last song is this song. When I play music, my last song is Stranglehold from Ted Nugent.
oh, right, right, right. I don't know that song, but it sounds to me quite quite powerful. The other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, I fluctuate. I've worked with country acts and rock and roll acts and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
it's great. It's great. So, but my band, which was weird, and it's not about me, but my band, I'm
yeah.
rock and roll. The singer is a folk singer. The drummer's punk. So we try to blend that together, and it was a weird mess, but it worked.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's what I love. I think people who make music get out there. They have an affinity then. So even if you've got like somebody into heavy music, heavy rock, and you have a folk artist, they will find a common ground.
We
You know,
will.
you
The
know,
very
yeah.
first song was a cover song that we covered, and it was Neil Young, "Old Man." And I was like, "Are
Oh,
you
right.
kidding?" I want to play some power chords. This isn't working for me. So,
Well,
anyways, John, let's get
oh
back to
yeah,
you.
yeah, okay.
Now, I got to ask this. You went through the '80s with all that hair glam stuff and people jumping around. Did you grab onto any of those bands? Did you like any of it?
Yes, I did, but overall, the '80s, I didn't enjoy it as a musical decade. I'm softer towards it now, but I
Okay.
wasn't keen on the synthesizers, and then the politics in the UK, and it could have been puberty, it could have been just taking me, you know. But there was a band that I love to this day, and they did a really great landmark concert in London in December. They're called the Blow Monkeys, and they had a big hit in America called "Digging Your Scene" in about '86, and they supported Robert Palmer. He's
Oh, yeah,
addicted to
well,
wrestling,
yeah.
and they're a great underrated band, and they're led by a fellow. Dr. Robert is his name, and he's an accomplished songwriter, versatile musician,
Oh,
flamboyant character, and he's worked with like Curtis Mayfield, P.P. Arnold, Paul Weller, and he's done folk. Um, he's done all sorts of music, and in fact, one of his songs was called "A Bottomless Pit," which it was a cross between Johnny Cash and Jacques Brel, the Belgian songwriter who did Jackie, and he wrote "Seasons in the Sun." And when I learned how to play that had like a big influence. I don't know if you've found this. You can play a song and it just opens up other channels for you when you get into
oh,
it,
yeah. Right. Yeah.
And so, like, people have said to me, like, there's a Johnny Cash influence in my songs, and there is. But it probably comes more from that song, A Bottomless Pit, than Johnny Cash himself. Although I was thinking today, when I've had hard times in my life, I tend to go to certain artists, and Johnny Cash is one of them,
Right.
because there's something about him which is strong. His voice is biblical. I think like if God, the voice of God, how would it sound? I think it sound like Johnny Cash's voice, deep in America, strong and kind. So, but yeah, there were lots of great songs. I'm Springsteen. I saw Springsteen last
Oh,
year in May. He opened up his European tour in Cardiff, 3 hours, and because that's
nice.
when I sort of listened to him in the 80s. And he was phenomenal, at his age. And I do think of these older musicians and how sprightly they are and how inspiring, in the late 70s, early 80s, Tom
Oh,
Jones.
yeah. Oh,
Amazing.
you
Yeah.
know, I miss that. I miss Tom Jones, Bobby Vinton, all those guys. That was great stuff. That was
Oh,
great stuff. Definitely.
yeah.
I'm glad
Well,
you bringing it back.
yeah, well, Tom Jones, if you ever get a chance to see him, do see him. I think he might be touring America, but his voice is still incredible, Nick. The power is just amazing.
He's something else. He's something else. All right. Now, I'm gonna hold up something here. I don't know if you're familiar with this at all. This right here.
Maybe I should be, but I don't think I am. No,
All right.
no.
ISSA. It's the International Singer Songwriters Association.
All
I
right,
It's free. I want you to go to the site. I want you to sign up, become a member, because there's so many great musicians involved, thousands. Okay,
right, yeah, yeah. I will.
your music needs to get out there. Fill out the submit your form. You can submit a form, submit your music because there's an award show. Voting starts in April. The award show's in August. It's a red carpet event here in Atlanta, Georgia. So I would love to see you win an award, my friend.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't mind too. Yeah, we could meet up and we'll mix the heavy
Okay.
metal with the country music and we'll do something good. Yeah,
We'll
you
do
never
something. We'll put
know.
John up there somewhere. Oh yeah. Well, so let's do that. Do that for me, man. Your music needs to get out there
Fine.
all over there, brother. You got great stuff here. Good deal. Now I'm going to ask some fun questions. Now we're just going to have some fun now, okay? And
Okay.
how it's going to hit, I don't know. Let's see what happens here. All right. Let's go to this question right here. Going to let you have two answers on this. These are people. Person alive, person that's passed away. Since you were a kid, who in your heart have you always wanted to perform on stage with? And I know Jim Reeves is probably one of them.
God. Wow, that's very interesting. I think at the moment McCartney would be. I mean, he's like a living legend, and
Oh, yeah.
his attitude, his energy, his history, his playfulness, and he's had a lot of heartache in his life as well. And so I admire him a lot. Yeah, and he can play anything. He'd probably be the one. He's beyond on another planet. Yeah.
right, right so Paul McCartney, okay. And passed away would probably be Jim.
Oh yeah, well, if I yeah, I mean, yeah, I wish I could if I could sing like Jim Reeves. My God, yeah, he had a yeah, that would be amazing. Yeah, yeah.
That would be cool. That would be cool. All right, another question here, and you get two answers on this one. We're going to think around the world a little bit here. Two stages anywhere in the world you'd like to perform on.
Well, funny enough, there's a stage. It's in Cornwall, I think, and it's an old. It looks like an old Greek theatre that's built into the side of
Oh,
the
really?
coastline, and then it goes down, and then you've got the sort of yeah. It looks like a Greek theatre, but it's in Cornwall, and I could just imagine like on a summer's night how magical that would be. With the coast, the sea,
Sure. Oh, yeah.
venues like that. And I suppose the other one would be, I mean, I do joke about this to my friends. I say that I've moved over to Ireland, so I'll be playing Crow Park, which is like 80,000 within the next couple of years, but that's not going to happen. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I suppose Crow Park or the Irish rugby ground would be quite something. It's good to dream.
Well, dreams come true. It might just happen, John. It just might. Before I get any farther, John, you think we might be able to get another song out of you?
Yeah, would you like a song now? Yeah.
Yeah, let's do one now, and then we'll hit you with some more questions.
Yeah,
Uh,
this is the latest song. It's the photos on the wall.
Photos
So
on the wall. All right.
here we go. Come on, let's take a trip down old memory lane when kids would walk to school barefoot in the rain. Of days work in the fields, stories true and tall, seems to make you dream. The photos on the wall. Grandad raking hay, Uncle spading turf, poking a doorway, shy and full of mirth. Girls with hair piled high at the old dance hall, seems to make you dream. The photos on the wall. Serenading an old world fading, a simpler place and time. Folk reflection, soul connection, now and then in pride. La 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 la. La 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 la. Chatting with my folks about those far-off days, sees their blue eyes shine through old island's haze. Never will forget those we are all. Seems to make you dream. The photos on the wall. Serenading an old world fading, simpler place and time. Folk reflection, soul connection, now and then in pride. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. The photos on the wall. The photos on the wall. The photos on the wall.
Oh, the photos on the wall from John Gilheaney. Thank you, my friend. That's great. I love that. I like that song too. 'Cause I listened to that a couple times. I like that a lot.
Thank you. My guitar playing is a bit ropey, but you know, it's the song comes across. And I like songs with like la 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 la, and the other one had ba ba da, you know, so jolly songs.
We'll have to get Bowser to back you up. So, okay, let's continue on here. We got some time to get a few more questions out of here. Now, have you thought about any collaborations with other artists working with you on your music, or vice versa, you with their music?
Well, I think this fella that I mentioned, like Blow Monkeys, a big band in the 80s, still going strong. They reformed about 10 years ago. And if Robert, if you're watching, he's collaborating with a lot of artists, you know, and he's a very kind man, actually. When I was unwell, he did, via my friend Philip, who just incidentally, Philip, when he was younger, he looked like a rock star. He had long hair. He used to play AC/DC riffs on an acoustic guitar, which inspired me to play guitar. It's quite a sound. You like the Chuck Berry. So, yeah, Robert did a set of lyrics for me free, which he wrote out and got sent to me. When I was unwell. And he's a very talented guy. So I actually have it in mind that I might have a song where I could send to Larry, my producer, then to Robert. Robert maybe do backing vocals. You know, it might happen.
Yeah,
But
right on.
that would be something. Yeah, yeah.
What I wanted to ask earlier, but let me ask it now. When you go in the studio, you have a full band behind you. Is that Larry doing all that, or do you have a full band in the studio?
Well, what happens? I send an acoustic track to Larry. He organizes the band, incredible musicians. I mean, he's a multi instrumentalist, and then I go over do the vocals.
Okay.
Um, and then Larry will sort of coach me. I mean, this is what I've got to learn. Uh, I've been really focused on my writing. So to play with the band, I have sung in front of a band, and I was in Ireland a few years ago. The words and music are just in the air. And I got off the boat, went straight to the hotel where I was, and then within half an hour, I was at this open mic event. And they heard that I played music and they got me singing, and they had a little quartet in the corner with the fiddles and the
Yeah,
guitars, and we did Hello Mary Lou. They could just pick it up like by ear. I mean, so all of this is to come, hopefully, playing with a
that's
band and stuff.
yeah. Okay. Well, let me throw this question at you. And I know you haven't performed a whole lot in front of a whole lot of people, but the performances you have done, and you start performing, and those people, you grab their attention, they start swinging and swaying, maybe singing those songs back to you. And you see this. How does it affect your heart and make you feel, John?
Well, I think they were sort of like a bit stunned initially, like kind of like choosing like a virgin. And when I did YMCA on acoustic guitar, and again, people sort of get used to it. And then Ghost Riders in the Sky, and well, music is like a connection, isn't it? Um, so whenever like when I was younger, sang with the choir at school. Um, you do feel something like you're part of something bigger than yourself.
Yeah, you do.
And there's a video online actually. I was part of a committee in Llantrisant, my former hometown in Wales, which built a war memorial, and we put on this event, and we had this Welsh choir, and I went close up to film them. And they were singing this Robbie Williams song, Angels, and it was like being next to an ocean. The power of these voices, you could just
Sure.
feel it. And, so, yeah, I love being like at a rugby game and just
Sure.
singing when you're a bit tipsy with people, and you feel
Right
part of
on.
something.
It all comes together as one, definitely. Now, I'm going to throw this question at you. It probably hasn't happened yet. If it has, you better tell me. But any embarrassing moments while you performed at all?
um, well, I remember when I was first in the studio with Larry. I had some very high notes to reach, and I just got them in, and it was like it was going la 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 la, and then it went. I find it hard to do, and I think it goes very very high, and I just thought, oh, God, and I learned so much in that session, because I had one song with high notes, one with very low, and I couldn't get my voice to do so. Um, Maybe I probably got plenty of embarrassing moments to come, I would say.
And I want to know them all the next time we talk, my friend.
Yeah. They'll probably go viral, yeah.
Nowadays, yeah, everybody's got a camera, so let me throw this one at you. When you do get on the stage to perform, you get a little nervous going up there.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what I found was, at home, when I'm on my own, my voice is as low as I want it. But then when I go out in front of people, it seems to go like 2 octaves. Like, my throat dries up, and I can hear my heart beating. It's like I got a different set of drums in here. So the advice I have from people is go as low as possible.
Start
So when
low.
I'm doing the songs, because I know that when I get out there, I'll be much higher. Yeah, but I got a good, when I go into the studio now with Larry, we got a very good way of doing things. I do 3 takes,
Okay.
and that's it really. After that, I think you get diminishing returns. And
Yeah.
yeah, my heart will be pumping quite a lot in the springtime, I think.
Yeah,
When I go
it
out on
will
stage.
be. That's
So,
great. John Gilheaney, thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming on the podcast. This was a great time, my friend. Thank you so much.
well, my pleasure, especially on your birthday.
My
It feels
pleasure.
like it's an honor, yeah.
There's a couple more questions before we get out of here, John. I'm looking 5 years ahead. Where does John want to be with his music in 5 years?
Well, I'd have liked to have made like a couple of albums to go out and feel comfortable as a singer, and to have met other people in music. It'd be a real thrill if somebody covered one of my songs.
Yeah.
That would be like a joy, and I just like to develop. I'm getting into sort of Irish folk music a lot, and Yeah, I think if somebody covered one of my songs, but I'd like to be in Ireland, and I'd like all my folks in Wales to be happy and healthy and to go between the two countries. But if I could um, make a living out of music, get a return on it, that would be nice. But I'm realistic at the same time.
Yeah.
So it might be that I have this adventure and then I go back to copywriting or what have you. But I'll always make music because it's the foundations are laid for where I am. It's a great adventure, I think.
Well, good, good. Last question here before we get out of here. And this pertains to the young ones out there. You have any advice for these kids that want to do what me and you do?
Yes, I'd say follow your heart and get something complete. So, if you meet somebody, then you can give them something and say, "Well, I've actually done this," or you can send a link, and then it's finished, and then that shows that you got some gravitas and you see things through. And as I say, as my experience as a hobbyist when I was 49, well past it in most people's view, perhaps, but contacted Larry, went online, got to this incredible studio, and people in music are so encouraging. So you never know where you might end up. You might end up in a great studio recording, having like an incredible experience, and then just keep following it, but get the job done.
That's right. Do your thing and believe in yourself. That's right. Definitely.
Mm.
Yeah. All right, John, we're going to get out of here. This is your show, my friend. Anybody out there you want to say hey to, hi to?
I'd like just to say hello to everybody who's watching, and my friends in Wales, my folks in Wales. Yeah, anybody who supported me really. But I mean, I have the gratitude to you because, as I say, support, 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 and the way you support singers like myself and right across the world is very, very encouraging, and it's been a really good experience. This for me.
Well, great. I appreciate it, John. I want you back in 6 months or a year. I want to see what's going on with you. All right, my friend?
Yeah, yeah, that'd be my pleasure. Yeah, yeah.
All right, so we're going to get out of here. I'm going to get this posted. Now you can go check out John's music and get those fingers snapping. You're going to love it. This is great stuff. All right, John, we're going to get out of here. Tell everybody out there, peace. We're out of here.
Okay, take care,
Everybody,
everybody.
see ya.
Bye.